Hart, who holds the title of Silver Lion of the Empire, is one of the founding heroes of the August Empire. Even though he is young, he brings countless victories to the Empire. Under his leadership, the Empire basically levels up into a whole continent. Because of his glorious exploits, the first emperor of the Empire confers the title of Duke upon Hart. With this, wealth flows endlessly into his hands like it's on auto deposit. But suddenly, boom, he dies. His life ends tragically at the age of 26. More than 100 years later, Dolly is telling the other maids that Duke Hart never had any sons, not even one little heirling. Because of that, this massive mansion gets inherited by his brother, Bolton, and after him, the line continues until now, with the fifth Duke being Ander. And guess what tonight? The entire hall is prepped to celebrate Ander's arrival. That's why the head maid is on cleaning mode Extreme Edition, making the place shine like glass. It turns out the current Duke Ander is actually the great-grandson of the heir. Dolly tells the newbie maids that they're going to be in charge of this place now, so yeah, they better be ready to meet him. The butler storms in, clapping his hands like a drill sergeant, telling the maids to step aside because the Duke is here. Dolly bows gracefully, saying it's a pleasure to meet him. But Ander? Ander is busy being lovey-dovey with his mistress instead of acknowledging people properly. Then suddenly, he stops mid-simp mode and glares at the other maids. If they don't know how to bow and greet the Duke, then all of them better apologize. He's utterly disgusted. Like, this man legit thinks the first batch of maids is not only ugly but also lacking manners. Total ill. He basically says he's done with them, and demands they don't embarrass him at tonight's party. Dolly bows to him with full-on professional poise, saying they'll definitely remember his words. After he struts off, Dolly comforts the maids, saying it's alright, and then moves to show them the portrait of Hart. She tells them this is the legendary hero himself. The maids immediately start gossiping, squealing that Duke Ander looks exactly like Hart, like some copy-paste genetic clone. They start fangirling, saying this is so amazing. Dolly, sighing like an older sister, tells them to just go and start their work. She finds these little girls really cute, but suddenly bam, Ghost Hart shows up, scoffing. He's super pissed. First, he complains that these little newbies keep relying on Dolly for everything and don't know how to handle themselves. Second, he's furious at nutcase Ander, who, in Hart's eyes, looks fully ugly despite being from his line. And third, the audacity Ander dares to disrespect Dolly? Absolutely not. Hart's ghostly rage is at peak levels. Because yes, plot twist, Hart's soul has been imprisoned inside the mansion for more than 100 years now. He's raging at how Ander is making today all about his dumb dance party, when today is actually the most important day. Today is the anniversary of Hart's first meeting with his beloved Dolly. Just remembering those cute, wholesome days is enough to make him both happy and devastated. Flashback time, 5 years ago, little Dolly entered the Duke's mansion for the first time as a maid. On her very first day, she got slandered and punished, and ended up secretly crying under Hart's portrait late at night. That moment, for the first time in his life, even though he was technically already dead, Hart felt love. Real, genuine, unshakable love. From that day onward, his ghostly eyes always followed Dolly. And little by little, he fell harder and harder for her. For the next 5 years, it felt like he spent every moment with her, even though she never once sensed his presence. And in the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. Hart is now super proud, like full dad mode but also full simp mode, that Dolly has grown into such a wonderful and competent woman. From the back, another maid calls Dolly, saying the cleaning is finished and the kitchen needs help. Dolly heads there with the group, but Hart is fuming. How dare anyone call Dolly away when this is supposed to be their alone time? Dolly tells the maids okay, let's head to the kitchen. Meanwhile, Hart is literally crying ghost tears. His poor Dolly doesn't even get to rest today, and today of all days it's their anniversary. He's devastated that his girl is being overworked when she should be celebrating. At that moment, Dolly picks a flower, and standing before Hart's portrait, she whispers that today is the anniversary of their first meeting, and she's thankful for his support. Hart breaks down, full emotional meltdown. He sees that his Dolly really remembers their first meeting date, and he goes totally crazy over her cuteness. He's like, bro, she's literally the cutest thing alive. He cries, he simps, he copes, and above all, he hopes that somehow, in the future, they can finally be together forever. In the kitchen, the chef asks Dolly to set the oak plates at the table. She happily agrees, while Hart notes, with a grumpy pout, that it looks like once again he won't be getting any sleep today either. He's salty, full ghost simp mode. Since he's here anyway, Hart decides to check how the ball preparations are going for Dolly's sake. He sees the dresses worn by the noble ladies and admits they're rather unique and kind of amazing. He's low-key entertained. But then his attention shifts, and he cackles when he notices his time-barren grandson rocking a bald head. Like, wow, genetics really said skip. Hart laughs his ghostly butt off, saying he really misses the past. But his amusement doesn't last long. His eyes land on Ander, who is now tangled up with another girl, acting clingy. Hart is instantly pissed. The audacity this little duke changes his women faster than he changes his underwear. And the fact that Ander looks exactly like him? Bruh. Hart is praying Dolly doesn't ever think he's the same type of trash. He shifts his gaze to a wine glass, but something seems off. He stares hard. It's clearly red wine, but it's mixed with a strange purple liquid. Suspicious vibes activate. Hart wonders if someone is trying to harm Ander, and he scoffs. Like, do they really think a ghost warlord can't tell it's poison? Meanwhile, Ander is telling his girl that after he finishes the glass, he'll take her to bed. Hart is shook. This man really doesn't realize it's poisoned? He tries to warn Ander, yelling that it's poison, but Ander just downs it. Hart's aura changes instantly full dark mode. He sneers that it's a shame Ander looks like him. Oh well, oops, guess Ander had to die. Hart shrugs, saying it doesn't even matter. After all, the fourth Duke had a whole pack of kids, so the family line is stacked anyway. After that, Hart drifts to Dolly, softening immediately. He reports proudly that he's counted all her efforts. They've got 142 people here in total. Dolly, as always, doesn't need to start counting again, but he laughs, because of course she is Dolly, the queen of overcounting everything twice. He promises that next time, he'll make sure to count even more things with her. Inside, though, he wishes desperately that he had been born at the same time as her. If that had happened, then he would have been able to kiss her, yell her name without being a creep, and dance with her. Just the thought makes him forget to warn her that something huge is about to happen. And then bam! Duke Anders suddenly shouts and collapses, crying out. Dolly instantly gets worried, rushing into panic mode, wondering what actually happened to him. Hart, meanwhile, is salty again, muttering that it's Anders' own fault for being so stupid. But then Hart pauses. Wait, could this actually be a clean and direct trick to finally eject him out of this mansion prison? He sighs toward Dolly, telling her gently she doesn't need to worry and can just go back to her room. But suddenly, pain slams into him. His chest starts to ache, deep and burning. He hasn't felt this way in so long, and his head begins spinning, dizzy and unstable. He wonders if this is it, if he's going to disappear for good. Panic rises. He doesn't want to vanish. He doesn't want to die again. He wants to stay at Dolly's side. Hart shouts her name desperately, but then he gasps because suddenly, he wakes up. In his room. He has no idea what just happened. He stumbles to the mirror, staring. At first, he thinks it's himself, but then he realizes it's Anders' body staring back. What's even weirder? This body feels alive. Like, actually breathing, pulsing, fully vibing alive. Hart is confused beyond repair. Did he just turn into Ander? He wonders if he has somehow turned into Andre, so where did Andre go? He thinks it could be that Andre actually died from that wine and maybe just entered his body. But he scoffs, because nah, this body is totally his now. The butler comes rushing in, looking super relieved that the Duke is awake. Hart asks the butler to prepare clothes for him, but the butler says his body still needs some rest, so if he doesn't mind, he should chill and rest more. But Hart says of course not, because he's got some important business, and that is to meet someone on the other side. Meanwhile, the head maid of the mansion is literally beating a maid, asking why the hell she tried to poison the Duke. But the maid cries that she really didn't do anything. The head maid scoffs, asking if she's trying to say that she's being falsely called the culprit. The maid says that's not what she means, but the head maid shouts that how dare she try to make excuses, and she will have to eat that beating until she spills the truth. But just then Dolly steps in, saying the head maid shouldn't do this before getting any evidence. The head maid tells Dolly not to interfere in this matter since she prepared the glass that was poisoned. But Dolly argues that this doesn't prove she's the culprit, because duh, the drink in the party goes through so many stops. The head maid is pissed that Dolly is doubting her. After all, her position is much higher than Dolly's. Dolly says that's not what she's implying. She just doesn't want to hurt anyone before finding legit evidence, and the head maid should be more careful. Hearing this, the maid starts to gossip, which makes the head maid even angrier, and she's about to hit her too. But Hart sees Dolly is there, and the maid looks at him, relieved that he's awake. He's super happy to see Dolly standing there, waiting for him. He asks her not to move because he's coming to her himself. She's all confused why he's looking for her, and the head maid thinks it looks like he's here to punish her. But Hart goes and calls her name, and when she asks him to listen, he just goes and picks her up. The whole staff is literally shook like no one was expecting this. He gets teary, saying that being able to carry her like this always felt like a dream. Dolly is like, bruh, what does he even mean by all that, and asks him to let her down. But he buries his head in her chest, glad to feel her warmth and her scent, almost obsessed. She is really feeling fascinated. The head maid tries to tell him not to be swayed by this girl, since she's the one who tried to defend the maid who allegedly poisoned him. Dolly is like, what the hell, while Hart asks who she even is. She tells him she is Mana, and a few days ago he wisely assigned her as the head maid. She even flexes that the gem he once wore on his neck was given to her, and after hearing he was sick, she even went to the temple to pray for him, so she's glad he's alive. Hart says he does remember having a gem on his neck, but after that, it was stolen. He then orders the butler to cast her out of the mansion, and if she doesn't want to go, he should find someone to throw her out. The butler says okay and asks him if he needs anything else. Hart tells him to get all the female dresses he's got, plus the jewelry, and bring it to his room, and he also orders the other maids to leave. Meanwhile, Dolly asks him if he should let her down, but instead he kisses her, saying she doesn't need to worry because they're late for a date. She's like, what the hell, and tells him not to joke around. But Hart says oh yeah, he's totally looking forward to it. Meanwhile, the butler glares at them as they go. Mana tells the butler that he knows she's speaking the truth, so please help her. The butler tells her to calm down since the Duke is no longer interested in her. But he says that since she's been a loyal maid, he's going to write her a letter of recommendation, and she should just go out and tell people that the Duke has woken up. Dolly, who has worked at the Duke's mansion for the past 5 years as the head maid of the cleaning department, is now facing the biggest trouble of her life, and that is the Duke getting way too clingy with her. He says to her that he is going to help her fit her cute foot into this shoe. She says to him that she is just a servant, so how can she wear such a great shoe? But he says she doesn't need to worry about that, because duh, they're going on a date. She really doesn't understand why he's suddenly interested in her all of a sudden. He even says that if she doesn't wear it, he's going to carry this shoe along with her. She finally says okay, and when he helps her wear the shoe, he says it fits so well. Every night, when he used to see her working late with those shoes that didn't fit her, he really wanted to fix this. She is confused about what he means by that, but he says he really wants to kiss her feet. She gives him a solid kick, telling him not to be like that. She gets worried, asking him if he's alright. He says that he is fine, and that honestly, being kicked by her was always on his wish list. She starts to wipe his nose, still not able to understand why a Duke would do such things for a maid. Indeed, the Duke is difficult to understand. After seeing her all dressed up, Hart can't take his eyes off her. He says that she looks like an angel descended from earth. Although her maid outfit is cute too, she looks even cuter in this. She looks at the other maids of course. It is strange to wear such clothes and be praised by the Duke. But she has heard that this Duke is kind of a playboy, changing his dates faster than his underwear, and it looks like she's the next target. She knows that Andre is very similar in looks to Hart, and that's why people had high expectations from him. But he used that to enjoy himself, being ignorant and kind of stupid, and these rumors still didn't stop him from getting whatever he wanted. That is where he started indulging in love games with anyone he liked. She really wants to ask him if he is doing this because she's the next target, but she can't because she is just a maid, and she really doesn't want to cross that line. Meanwhile, Hart is thinking about what is making her think so deeply, but she still looks beautiful that way. He says that now that she has changed her clothes, they should go on a date. She asks him if right now, and he says of course, he doesn't want to waste even a single second with her. He formally asks her if she would like to go on a date with him, and she smiles and says yes. He takes her to the garden and asks her to sit there and wait for him. She sits, thinking that this flower garden is so beautiful. She has always wanted to see it, but since servants are not allowed to come here, she couldn't. But she didn't expect that he would let her come here. She shakes her head, telling herself not to think of it too much and just follow his orders for now. He comes back, holding a bunch of flowers for her. She asks him why he is doing this, because these flowers are super expensive. He says that he thought she really liked them and he is going to give them to her every day. He knows that all this time, she used to look out the building window to see these flowers. She says that she really can't accept this, but he says if she doesn't like it, she can just throw it away. Dolly says no, and says that she will accept it happily, after all she really likes them. This hits his soft heart directly. He says that just now, he feels like he has gone to heaven, because he just saw his angel smile. She starts to chuckle, saying that he is good at joking. He is happy to see her smile, because he knows that after she became head maid, she didn't have much time to rest and smile. He gets close to her because he wants a kiss, but seeing her shaking like that, he thinks it looks like he is being too hasty. After all, he is still in the body of Andre, and she doesn't even know that Andre is dead. He thinks that he should get closer to her slowly, and then tell her that he really loves her, but he is going to do all this step by step. He really wants to, but he can't wait that much longer. After waiting enough, she calls him, and he says sorry to her, admitting that he must have scared her. She thinks that she really was scared, and as expected, this man is just playing his love game with her. But he says to her that he couldn't stop himself, but he promises that he really likes her, and in the future if she doesn't like it, she should just directly tell him to stop, and he will stop. He also asks her to never hate him. She says okay, all confused. He knows he has to hold back, because he still has time. Hart thinks that it looks like he has made a great mess. He calls out to Dolly, shocking her, and then says to her that he just wanted to point out how the flowers over there are also pretty and that they can go and see them if she wants. But seeing her reaction, he quickly adds that if she is really angry with him, she can just say it outright to him. Dolly replies that she is not angry at all, it is just that this is the first time she has encountered something like that, so she doesn't know how to act. Hart nods and tells her that if it makes her feel uncomfortable, she can straight up refuse it. He even says that if he, for example, tries again to kiss her, she can just put her hand on his chest and say no. Dolly actually does it, pressing her hand against his chest and saying no, and Hart straight up loses his mind because this is indeed so beautiful that it makes him feel alive again. Bro is internally screaming, she said no, but in the cutest way ever. His heart just respawned. He then tells her that he will also teach her some defense skills. Dolly, curious, asks him whom he is talking about defending against, and he, being the absolute clown he is, says of course against him, so if he ever insists on something, she can just give him a good hit. Hart starts to laugh, realizing that his jokes are spiraling out of hand at this point, but honestly, he is just glad to see her smile like this. He absolutely loves seeing her smile and, low-key, high-key, all keys combined, he really hopes to see that smile all the time. For that, he is willing to pay any price. Hart then says to her that they should go outside and play tomorrow. Just at that exact moment, like, could timing be any worse, the butler arrives, informing him that Princess Serene is here to meet him. Hart gets fussy right away, grumbling why someone is clinging to meet him when he literally just woke up. The butler explains that the princess is here on behalf of the king, who was really worried when the duke was in a coma. Hart is totally not vibing with this, saying this is no fun at all since he is already alive and kicking, so the butler can just go tell her that he is fine. Meanwhile, Dolly remembers who Serene is. Known as the Yellow Rose, she is the most noble woman in the empire. As the first child of the king, she was always deeply loved by her father, and when she was only 10 years old, she was already appointed as the next emperor. Rumors have always circled that Hart once tried his best to get accepted by her, and it seems like this is actually the first time the princess herself has come to meet him. Dolly says to him that he should go and meet her in person since this will also put the king at ease. Hart sighs but says that if his silly girl is saying it, then he will do so. Still, he makes it clear with full puppy eyes that she had better stay here, because he will come back for her. Dolly says to him sure, and promises that she will be waiting here for him. But before leaving, Hart once again tells her to wait here for him no matter what, making her feel that she did not expect him to be this insistent on her. However, seeing the butler glaring at her, she can clearly read the vibe, like neon billboard flashing vibes, that the butler is warning her not to interfere in the Duke's life because she is just an ordinary maid. Meanwhile, in the office room, Princess Serene is already waiting. Entering the room, Hart sighs at how far he had to walk just for this, and then he notices the princess standing there. He almost bursts into laughter the moment he sees her, because she looks exactly like the king who founded the empire. Bro is straight up thinking, if that guy wore women's clothes, he would look just like this girl. Hart walks in and then asks her why she is here. She explains that she is only here to check on his health because the king asked her to do so. Seeing that he is still alive and okay, she says it seems her father can now rest assured. Hart immediately responds that of course he already said so, and since she has confirmed it in person, she should head back now. Serene blinks, confused, and says, "What, mister?" He doubles down, saying that he meant exactly what he just told her. Since the mission is complete, she should head back quickly. He even adds that he has work to do, so he will assign the butler to escort her back home safely. And just like that, Princess Serene leaves, utterly confused and low-key fuming, like what the hell is up with that guy? As soon as he leaves, the butler rushes up to Hart, scolding him that this was super rude and demanding that he head back and apologize to the princess this instant. When the butler calls out to him again, Hart tilts his head and asks if the guy is trying to keep him under house arrest. The butler stammers that he would never dare do that, he is only trying to do what is good for him. Hart scoffs, rolling his eyes, saying that he really knows how to defend him. But clearly, back then, he was staring at Dolly. Hart then adds that the butler's loyalty reminds him of a dog, so why not bark for him too? The butler freezes, like, excuse me? Hart smirks and says that it looks like he is not really that loyal after all, is he? And if he can't do that, Hart will just think he is not loyal at all. Having no other choice, the butler actually barks for him and says that Hart should now believe his loyalty. Hart starts laughing so hard because he did not expect him to actually bark like that. Hart then tells him that he understands his loyalty now and promises that when he meets the princess again, he will say sorry to her. But he adds that it is hilarious how the butler worries about his honor like a dog, making this double-faced butler both angry and pissed. While on the other side, Manna is knocking, saying that she is here with the message, and that it was the butler himself who sent her to report. As the man inside guides her, she notes that there are so many books here, like it is giving full-on Beauty and the Beast library to her vibes. The man speaks to someone, saying that he has brought the lady, but she is confused to see that it is the butler standing there. The butler says she got it wrong, introducing himself as Franz, while the other man is Vlar, the master. The master explains that he has heard she is their guest through Franz. She says that Franz has told her to inform them that the Duke has woken up, but she is confused why the butler asked her to personally deliver this news. After all, the mess of him waking up will soon be discovered by everyone anyway. The master says that if that is the case, then it seems like good news. He adds that if it is true, he will tell Vlar to send her away with some money, like take the cash, bestie, and dip. But she insists that Franz has told her she can live here as a maid. The master says that if she is someone recommended by Franz, then she must be great, and she should start working here. He assures her that if she needs anything, she can ask Vlar. The maid is glad that this man seems to respect Franz a lot, and she thinks that if she stays here, who knows, one day she might be able to go back to the Duke's mansion. Vlar asks the master if he really thinks they should keep this servant, but the master replies that it is just incidental. Moreover, the gratitude package would be more useful than a pawn full of resentment. Later, we see that the maids are making Dolly shower. They think that it looks like she is living a dream and wonder why the Duke would choose someone like her to be his lover. She wonders if he has chosen the maid this time purely because of his own interest, and on top of that, why it was her among all the emails, among all the maids. She questions if she was really his type. She really wants to know the reason. In the other side of the scene, Hart is looking at another body. He thinks that even if another looked exactly like him, his energy still lacks. He thinks that if there is this much exposure, a lot might go wrong, so he should lower his belt a little, like calm down, sir, not every day has to be boss level risky. Dolly also goes into the room, showing him that she looks stunning. Her rings glint, her hair still a little damp, clinging to her shoulders, and the white dress on her white skin is serving goddess core aesthetics, like the goddess herself has stepped down onto earth. Hart asks her to sit down, and she looks at the bed nervously. He asks her what is up, but she brushes it off, saying nothing, keeping her inner chaos quiet. He then shows her that he has prepared wine for her. She wonders if this is the wine that only opens during the special days, like, sir, is this VIP bottle service? He says of course it is. He remembers that last year Dolly told the other maids that she wanted to drink it. She says to him that this is the giant drink of the Duke, and this wine is only for the guests. He says to her that, oh dear, she really doesn't need to worry. After all, they have a lot of wine in the cellar, so she should just drink it and vibe. But she is still having thoughts that if this is really okay, like, is it normal to invite a maid to drink such an amazing drink? And on top of that, he was poisoned before because of spite, so how can he drink now with zero concern? She wonders, OMG, is this why he invited her to drink to test it first? After all, for many people, the life of a maid is not that important. And because the Duke has dated a lot of nobles, he probably doesn't want to put them in danger, so maybe that is why. Right now, what he wants is a substitute, while she is still thinking that this gift must have some mark, something super stunning. And before coming here, she has even tested the wine on Franz, and he was alright, so she really wants to give Hart a thank you kiss. But then he sees Dolly drink it all in a single gulp. He says to her that she really didn't need to drink it all like that. He sees that her cheeks start to turn rosy, and her eyes gleam green. He is having so much fun looking at such beauty, while she thinks to herself that since this sip is safe, maybe she should just tell him. Yet as she is about to tell him, she suddenly falls on him. He says that it looks like she is drunk, but she insists that she is not. He says that she should not think about that and that he will take her to bed. He says that she can rest her head, and he will tell the maid to come and clean this up. But she stops him, asking that there is still one thing she doesn't understand at all, and that is if he will sleep with her. He gets shocked at her asking that. He says he doesn't know, but will she allow him to sleep with her? This makes her look at him while blushing. She is like that too, seeming a little off, like she just misunderstood everything, but he is actually having the time of his life. He starts to beg her, and he's super happy that she's the one who asked him to do this. He leans in and starts kissing her, and she can't believe that he really wants to go further. She thinks maybe she should let him do what he wants, but at the same time, she knows if she gives in too easily, she might just be tossed aside afterward. So she kicks him lightly, saying this is way too fast, giving him a solid reality check. Sulking hard, he moves to the side of the bed like some moody cat. She, all worried, asks if he's alright, but instead he hits her with the loaded question of whether she already hates him. She blurts out a quick no, but her voice doesn't sound reassuring at all, so she scrambles to explain. She tries to tell him to believe her, that she has never hated him. He mutters that it only matters if she does hate him, and then, just like he said in the morning, he promises he's going to try his best so she won't hate him at all. Her heart skips a beat at those words, but then he goes right back to sulking, whining that what she did was basically cheating, inviting him to sleep together but then kicking him away. He even starts crying dramatically, wailing that he's super sad, like a kid who just dropped his ice cream. She, in a panic, says maybe she should call the doctor, but he's like, no way, the only cure is if she comforts him. She's just sitting there like, wait, what? He turns away, sulking harder, like she can just let him die in pain, which makes her feel like maybe she's too insensitive. She thinks about it, she's always been kind of stiff, boring, not really a good lover at all. So she asks him, point blank, why he chose her out of all people when he could have had any of the other maids. He gets all shy and stammer why, saying of course he really likes her, accidentally confessing his feelings like a total softie. She freezes, thinking she really can't accept this. After all, they've barely even seen each other that much. She wants to say that it's sweet to get something that feels like love from him, but deep down she doesn't want to accept it. Her mind spins with worry, what if he gets mad and throws her out of the mansion? She thinks maybe she should just follow his orders quickly, like all the other ladies before him, waiting to eventually be tossed aside. She really can't afford to risk it right now. So she tells him she wasn't mentally prepared. He's confused, asking what preparation she's talking about. She explains that she's not ready yet to move their relationship to the next level. He freezes for a moment, then suddenly brightens up and gets all happy again, like a lovesick puppy who just got a treat. That means she is actually accepting his love for her, and when she says that, he lights up instantly, asking her when she's going to get prepared, then like tomorrow, or yesterday. She, flustered, says it'll take a few more days. He immediately questions her, all pouty, like how many days is a few more days? She quickly blurts out at least 10 days. He straight up rejects that, saying 10 is way too much and they should make it 5. She insists 7 days, no less than that, and he finally agrees, getting super hyped like he just unlocked a side quest. She's sitting there thinking, what the heck are they even doing right now? But he is seriously looking forward to that day, while she is silently thinking that now she's set this timeline, she can't regret it, she'll have to prepare herself for that promise. Dolly, feeling a little braver, says to him that if she could ask for something, she wants to make it clear, even if someday he gets bored of all this, she would still like him to let her keep working in the mansion. She promises she won't bother him at all, she'll just quietly disappear from his sight whenever he wants, no drama. He's confused, like what? She goes on, saying this is right, he can even arrange for her to work in the stables, far away from him. He answers casually that sure, that day will only come if he ever feels disgusted with her. That reply weirdly makes her happy, because it means she can at least keep her job, and she's oddly grateful at that moment. She doesn't even realize that his words are loaded with something else entirely, that what he really means is that she shouldn't be worrying about being thrown away at all. She doesn't get his meaning and just curls up beside him. He pulls her into a hug, insisting they sleep together like that. She's convinced he must have been exhausted and that's why he fell asleep so quickly, while she's still wide awake, tipsy from the red wine, wondering why he chose her out of all the maids in the mansion. Her head spins, and before she can piece it all together, she drifts into sleep. When her eyes close, Hart's open. He lies there, thinking hard, wondering if maybe he's confusing his love for her with some other feeling, some other identity. If he told her who he really is, would she be delighted, or would she just end up scared of him? He doesn't dare to test it. All he can do is pray that she somehow knows that his feelings for her are real. Leaning close, he whispers softly, testing if she's asleep, but she really looks like she's out cold. He calls her cute, whispering words of affection, admitting he worked so long just to be able to kiss her like this. He says he really wants her to accept him already, that he's going to wait until she finally calls him by name and kisses him, because he's sure that only then will they finally get their happy ending. The next morning, she wakes up and says to him that everything felt like a lot, but before she can get her thoughts together, he suddenly appears dressed differently. She notices he's in a full knight's outfit, and he greets her with a bright good morning, saying that today he will properly introduce himself because now she is in his care. At a bustling market, they enter the crowd, noticing that everyone is staring at them. Dolly feels self-conscious and mutters that everyone seems to be looking at them, wondering if it is because they look strange. Hart, in his usual unserious tone, says it cannot possibly be that they are probably staring because of her beauty. He even adds that, for today, they are simply lady and knight, so she doesn't need to call him Duke. He casually suggests she should just call him Hart, while he announces that the first stop is, obviously, the hot topic of the market. Dolly raises her brows, wondering what that even means. Turns out, the hot spot is the dress boutique. Hart strolls right in and tells the owner that his lady wants a custom-designed dress for the evening. The owner beams and asks Dolly to come this way, explaining that they just got new styles in today. Dolly, however, is nervous, thinking there are way too many nobles here and surely someone is going to recognize her. She even wonders if Hart is wearing this knight outfit to hide his own identity. Hart asks if she wants him to book the entire boutique so no one else can bother her, but Dolly is like, "Boy, shut up," insisting she is fine this way. Soon, a worker is helping her slip into a new dress. The outlet lady tells her the person is being sued by another, so if Dolly doesn't mind, she should lift her foot so they can help her wear the shoe. But Hart steps in and tells them to pause for a moment, saying that changing shoes without a proper pedal is dangerous, so they can just use his leg as a stand. He keeps trying to insist on helping, repeating his suggestion, trying to be chivalrous. Dolly, flustered, awkwardly says she doesn't want that at all. Besides, they didn't even need it, since they already had the pedal anyway. But her sudden rejection makes Hart low-key heartbroken. Then, someone from the back suddenly shouts, "Isn't that Duke Ander?" People whisper suspiciously, saying if that is him, why would he be wearing a knight's uniform? Others scoff that it must not be Ander. They even start gossiping that Dolly is weird for dating a knight. Hart clenches his jaw, realizing people are speaking way too loudly, like they have no volume control. He feels he should deal with them directly, but since Dolly is here, he needs to exercise some patience. After all, this is supposed to be their perfect date. He looks back at Dolly and thinks the purple dress suits her really well, while the yellow shade makes her look cute, and the blue dress is top-notch. He decides they should just buy all three. Dolly protests, thinking that buying them all is such a waste, but Hart ignores her and pays for everything. She cannot help but think that he really does take care of someone like her, and maybe that's why no noble lady ever wants to leave him. They step back into the market, and suddenly Hart smells something. It is roasted sweet potato, a famous treat in this area and even in the past. For the first time, Dolly sees him staring at something thoughtfully. But just as quickly, he turns back to his I don't care self and says they should try it. They buy 2 sweet potatoes and start eating. Hart sighs, saying this makes him feel nostalgic. Dolly curiously asks if he has eaten it before. He explains that a long time ago, while traveling, he used to eat this, and it was delicious and filling. Dolly wonders if he is accidentally talking about a hardship memory, and honestly, the story sounds miserable. Right then, Hart burns his tongue from eating it too hot and starts crying like a child, begging her to do something. He sticks out his tongue timidly, asking if he got blistered. He really is in pain. Dolly sighs, accepts his ridiculousness, and starts reciting a poem to fly away his pain. She suddenly stops mid-verse, embarrassed, saying it was just a habit. But Hart catches her hand and asks why she stopped when it actually felt really good and the pain was fading. This makes her heart skip a beat, so she gently ruffles his hair, saying it is good that he feels no pain now. That's when the sweet potato seller laughs, saying they look totally like lovers. Dolly immediately denies it, insisting they are definitely not. Hart, on the other hand, shamelessly plays along, joking that she must have good eyes. The shop owner teases further, calling it a forbidden romance between a knight and a lady, and says it is really cute. Hart cheekily winks, telling Dolly to keep this secret for him. Dolly reluctantly agrees, and to celebrate their love, the owner even gives them 2 extra sweet potatoes for free. Hart's heart is thumping super fast at all of this. Dolly, flustered, tries to shift her attention elsewhere. But for some reason, she notices today there seem to be even more noble ladies walking around than usual. Suddenly, someone drops a pocket watch. Dolly immediately rushes forward, trying to pick it up and return it to that person. She even starts running after them. Hart looks around, confused, holding the roasted sweet potatoes, and says they are almost ready to eat, only to realize Dolly is no longer with him. She is running after this guy, and when she finally manages to catch hold of his robe, he drops his hoodie. She freezes on the spot, stunned to see his blonde hair. He turns around, totally confused, and asks who she even is. She quickly explains with an awkward little smile that she is sorry but his pocket watch dropped earlier, so she came here just to return it to him, smiling all sweet and polite while holding it out like, "This must be yours." But this dude just scoffs, totally unbothered, saying this whole situation is really boring. She wonders for a second, like, from which family is he even from? But before she can figure it out, he suddenly asks her if she has no shame at all. Dolly, blinking in confusion, questions him back, not understanding what on earth he means by all that. He rolls his eyes and says that if he is being real, people like her are boring, annoying, and exhausting with all their little tricks. He suddenly throws the watch aside, saying it's still the same old cliché method and it's honestly ridiculous. Then he tells her to go back home and look at herself in the mirror more, even calling her ugly. Dolly leaves, dazed and confused, not understanding why he just roasted her like that out of nowhere. Looking at his appearance, he definitely seems like a noble, and she just cannot believe he thought she was trying to start some random conversation with him. Even if she was, he didn't have to trample all over her feelings like that. Just at that moment, Hart shows up from behind, asking if she is alright and why she suddenly ran off. She says she is fine and was just chasing a man. Hearing this, Hart freezes for a hot second, his aura turning colder than iced Americano, and he starts interrogating her with all kinds of suspicious questions, like who that man was, what kind of relationship she had with him, and other jealous nonsense. Dolly finally calls him out, snapping him out of his spiral, and tells him the whole story. She explains it must have been the wrong person, which is a pity because it was such a great-looking watch. Hart suddenly starts tearing up a little, embarrassed that she just caught him showing his clingy, jealous side. He is so mortified that he doesn't even want her to hate him for it. Dolly, on the other hand, is like, Mon, she won't start sulking with this potato boy, but she can see he is still walking stiffly like he hasn't moved on from that embarrassing moment. She thinks back and realizes he really did look kinda scary back there with those vibes, and she wonders if that type of intense, scary love can really be considered real love or just a temporary obsession. As they are walking, they suddenly see someone handing out flyers for the Hart race. Dolly and Hart stop to check, and they hear that whoever wins this race will get 10 gold coins and also a portrait of Hart himself. Hart is instantly sweating bullets because his own portrait as a prize is just peak embarrassment. He wants to drag her somewhere else fast before she gets more ideas. But Dolly, of course, thinks this is exactly her kind of thing and gets all hyped up. She bounces with excitement, pulling on him and telling him to hurry up because they need to register ASAP. Hart is dying inside, thinking Dolly likes his face way too much if she is about to enter a whole race just to win his portrait. Dolly, meanwhile, is glowing like a fangirl at a K-pop concert, and Hart is now overthinking, deciding that he is going to go all in, participate himself, and secure his heroic image so Dolly will keep seeing him as cool. The funniest part is, he is still standing there all confused because Dolly isn't hyping him up to compete, she is actually hyping herself. By participating, she literally means she is about to take part in the race herself. Hart is left speechless, standing in NPC mode, while Dolly is already halfway to the registration booth. Dolly is doing her warm-up, thinking that it's been a quiet long minute since she last ran, and today she wants to run good again. Her heart is wishing so loud it's practically playing hype music in her chest. While she's warming up, she accidentally bumps into someone and, plot twist, it's the same SUS guy from before. He scoffs right away, saying that she is really persistent, like bruh, she didn't have to come and follow him all the way. Dolly makes it crystal clear with full annoyed energy that she doesn't even know who he is, and everything is just coincidence. But this Delula dude is convinced she's acting smart to get his attention. He thinks that every lady who shows up in his orbit is somehow tracing his mom's favor, and if Dolly's name is on the list, then she must also be one of his mom's favorites. To him, she's just another greedy lady who never knows when enough is enough, because after all, to reach the upper titles, one can do anything. He finds this so disgustingly predictable, it's giving a cringe overload. Just in that moment, the race begins. Dolly goes full main character energy and starts running, and everyone is shook because she is the fastest. Her heart is super excited to see herself run like this, carrying pure Slay Queen vibes on the track. But the blonde man realizes loud and clear that he can't be losing to a girl. So, he runs super fast to catch up to her. He gets close, and instead of passing fairly, he straight up intentionally bumps her, securing his win. The whole audience can see it's sus, like everyone is side-eyeing Hart because it clearly looks like this guy bumped into Dolly on purpose. Hart is instantly angry, full rage mode activated, and he vows he will not forgive this rotten thing. Meanwhile, the blonde man is shamelessly flexing over being able to win, like he just dropped a victory dance. Even Dolly herself wonders if it was truly an accident or not. Hart, in full protective mode, tells the people to move away because he needs to save his Dolly, but then he stops when Dolly suddenly shouts that she wants a fair run with this guy. The blonde almost mocks her, asking if she is trying to accuse him of cheating, like he's trying to gaslight his way out of the whole thing. The crowd is watching with that popcorn energy, knowing drama just leveled up. She says to him that she didn't mean it that way, she just wants to run the race again with him, and if he wins fair and square, she will admit defeat. Hart is so proud in this moment, because this is his Dolly, someone who doesn't stand for unfairness. Her presence feels like pure, absolute justice itself, giving total queen vibes, icy cool and unshakable. The blonde guy notices that even the crowd is whispering that she is right, and he is straight up fuming. Like, bruh is mad. How dare these common people doubt him? His pride is stung, his ego bruised, and he feels both embarrassed and furious at being called out like that. In a dramatic huff, he declares that he doesn't even want to participate in this trash event anymore, saying they can run it themselves. Dolly can't believe he actually just rage quit, like, this is the dude's big brain trick to keep the first place position locked in, and now he's running away? The crowd immediately flips, saying she's the real first prize here, and honestly, she deserves it. They start to gather around her, hyping her up and making her feel like the main character energy she is. Meanwhile, the blonde storms off and later asks Carlin, his aide, if he didn't get rid of all the ladies who were bothering him. Carlin assures him that he already cleared the list, but the blonde hisses that there's still one left, and she just publicly humiliated him in front of everyone. He plans to go back to his mom and demand to know who that woman really is. He then tells Carlin to give him his cloak, but when Carlin doesn't hand it over, he's about to think his aide is straight up ignoring him. Before he can spiral, he notices that Hart has already knocked out Carlin. The blonde freaks, asking if Hart is some kind of assassin, but Hart, standing with the swagger of someone on a divine mission, declares that he represents the Queen of Justice, carrying out justice in her name, and that he is her loyal subordinate. Absolute mic drop moment. The blonde starts screaming, full caps lock energy, demanding what the heck Hart is even speaking about. In his mind, there is only one supreme being the Emperor and Queen. He keeps squinting, low-key thinking Hart looks suspiciously like Dolly's night boy, and the face feels weirdly familiar too. Hart, however, straight up declares that the noble family has nothing to do with him, and that it would be best if this blonde just accepted his punishment quietly. But the blonde, going full drama prince mode, yells back if Hart even knows who he is, dropping the bomb that he is the sovereign of the empire and, not only that, the fourth prince. Hart doesn't even blink. He rushes at him instantly, moving so fast it's giving anime blur speedlines energy, snapping that Augustus's descendants are just as noisy as the man himself was. The prince, stunned, realizes this guy is not only quick but also crazy strong. And just like that snap, his sword shatters in his hand. The prince freezes in disbelief because, hello? His blade is crafted by the royal alchemist, basically unbreakable, and now it's lying in pieces. Hart doesn't give him much time to process though. He pushes him down with a vow, muttering like a cold-blooded executioner that this is the time for him to go to sleep. He